I open it up
Don't start again.
and then I hit record and pause. You're good.
And we are back 1 month later for the Lake Management Advisory Commission meeting. Welcome to our guests, to our audience of citizens, as well as to our LMAC members. I have one quick change to the agenda and calling this meeting to order. I sent out the March LMAC meeting minutes. I believe it was March 4th, but neglected to put it in the agenda. Do I hear a motion to add or adjust the minutes of our last meeting to include the March 4th LMAC meeting minutes? Thank you. And second, Henry. And any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? We'll move forward. Terrific. We'll move right there. Mike?
Yeah, there's something else that's not here is the permit review. Where would that fall?
Permit review on the back of the agenda. Oh, it was a 2-pager. I have it here.
Want me to make up? Oh,
Yeah. In the back of the agenda is new business and standing committees.
Okay, I see the standing committees.
And standing committees is permit reviews.
Okay.
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 My bad. It's
Different.
It's a different form.
it's a different format. Oh, you have it. Oh, yeah.
It's in there.
Thank you. Thank you. It was just a 2-pager. All right. If we can, first, yes, Henry, edits were made appropriately and good to send out. If the LMAC, Buffy,
I didn't bring it, but some edits that didn't get in there, I wrote to you.
was that the March 4th edit or the April 1st?
The egos and wasn't that the March?
That was in March, yeah.
And you said here that we would approve it with those edits, but I didn't.
My bad, Muffy. And I did not either. May I suggest that we amend Henry's motion to accept the March 4th minutes with the edits that Muffy had? Because yours were a lot more toward formatting and just.
Well, most of them are minor.
Yes.
I think we all know the ego systems and those systems, but one significant one was it identified Bob as being on the watershed management plan update subcommittee, and he's not.
Okay.
So that his name needs to be stricken. That was the only substantial.
So with that edit, can we move forward? Friendly amendment, Henry? So a motion on the table with format and one edit to add Bob Paul.
To remove.
To remove Bob Paul. Excuse
I love
me.
you, Bob, but no, nothing.
He was here for an hour and a half today already. He's doing a heck of a job. Was there a second to that motion? Thank you, Greg. Any discussion further? All in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay. Good. Thank you, Muffy. I know you said that to me and it fell through the crack. Sometimes, when you're in your household, it goes in one ear and out the other. Just
Hearing.
all right, let's move to the April 1st minutes. A motion to accept the April 1st minutes.
A couple of
Thank you, Henry.
changes, but I thought I had on my draft where I marked them, but on page 3, the dam keepers, gatekeepers update. At the bottom of the first paragraph,
Mhm.
I'd like to suggest for clarification, we put a period after Steve Everett, and just say it was noted that repairs are allowed without permit to safely secure and prevent further damage. Remove any confusion that you have to have Mark's or Steve's approval to do those emergency repairs.
It was noted.
Yeah.
Okay,
That repair.
got that.
And then, I'm gonna suggest on page 4, where it says in closing, that the C parentheses, or item C on the new business, because it just didn't seem to fit under the dam keeper, gatekeepers update.
Sure, makes sense.
And with
Terrific,
that, I would move approval of the April minute.
terrific. Second? Thank you, Mike. Any further discussion? Let's call a vote. All those in favor of accepting the April 1st minutes? Any opposed? Abstain. Okay, thank you, Bob. And we had a special meeting. Thank you to all who were able to attend that meeting and help to finalize some programs that we'll be discussing. Minutes have been published to you for your consideration. Any edits or changes to the April 20th LMAC special meeting minutes?
Technical ones to suggest.
Okay.
Page 2, I'd like to clarify what's stated there as the motion I made, starting in the 4th line, which is appointing Richard Roberts of Power and Stage. Rather than to ensure appropriate legal notifications, I would like to just say to review terminating the remainder of the 2025 TRC proposal, and in place of the word that, add the possible need to use the bid process for 2026-2027, take out is legally appropriate.
You have that in writing, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then, under town ordinances, B, until LMAC can dedicate appropriate time to reviews rather than draft, because they have been drafted.
Okay.
Need an Article 2 and 3 changes, and then to say, and coordinate rather than with so to coordinate a realistic time frame with BOS and CTD review.
Got it. Good.
And those changes, unless anybody else has anything, I would.
Yeah. Thank you, Henry, for that motion. Any other edits? Muffy?
No.
Oh, you're seconding. Thank you. Further discussion? Call the vote. Thank you, Henry. All in favor? Any opposed? Awesome. Thank you so much. And we move on. There are some communications, and I would just like to say and invite any of the members at any time, if you see some areas of issues or communications, to please bring them up or share them. An example, and I will send the email out, is I got an email this morning from the Coventry folks, Coventry Lake folks, who are having a workshop on May 16th relative to aquatic plants and algae, if I remember. See, I don't remember already, so I will be forwarding it to you. Unfortunately, I'm not available for that workshop, and I don't believe you'll be available. We have another commitment. But it is an opportunity to interact with others on lakes and rub elbows and share some similar stories and what they're doing. So as an example, although not on the agenda, please feel free if you see anything, but I will forward that to you.
Could I just clarify, it's not Coventry Lake that's sponsoring it? It's the OAIS, the outfit.
Oh, it's Connecticut Agriculture and Environmental Station.
Yes.
Awesome. But they're
It's
promoting it.
It's in the Ledyard.
Ah, okay. Thanks, Muffy. Good. So something for consideration, and we'll get that email out. PRC and Wilcox and Barton, we just made some edits to the minutes, which it turned out we apparently didn't need all the edits. And that's the good news. We were able, thank you to Mark, and in conference with James Tracy, who's still at TRC, and Carl Nielsen, who's now at Wilcox and Barton, to work out an interim solution where there was a win-win for both until the end of June. And that solution is Carl Nielsen will take on special projects such as the watershed management, plan revision, and TRC has subcontracted him. So he is still on as the TRC, now Wilcox and Barton lead consultant. James Tracy had 2 additional field visits. And we were able to work with Bev and Mark to know that we have enough money left in this budget to be able to conduct the May and June field visits, and TRC will be conducting them. So it was a win-win in terms of no need to terminate. The even better news was the Board of Selectmen unanimously welcomed Wilcox and Barton, Carl Nielsen, as the consultant, lake consultant with Wilcox and Barton, effective July 1st, the new year. This was reviewed by Rich Roberts. Mark and I were in conference call with him, and then the BOS unanimously approved that Wilcox and Barton with Carl Nielsen will be our lake consultant next year. So we continue to be able to work with them. So there you have it. We're in good shape. Question, Mark?
No, I just wanted to make a point that Carl Nielsen made to us in our subcommittee meeting, which was to remind us, Henry Woodford, of course, known this quite clearly, and maybe it's obvious to everybody, but it was good to be reminded that the data that resides, if you will, at TRC is not their data, it's our data. And he was very clear that we should make sure, because when Carl left there, he couldn't take work product with him for understandable reasons. For those very reasons, I actually couldn't take anything with him. But he said we should be sure that we're archiving all of the information here at the town, and not just relying on TRC.
No idea.
Yeah.
Great.
This is which one?
No, this is Carl Nielsen.
Oh.
Because he needs access to write the update to the watershed management plan. So Mary apparently had already downloaded everything out of it. Mary, is that correct?
That's correct. And Jennifer has.
Jennifer. So
The first thing I did when I heard Carl was leaving was to download all our data, just in case anything ever happened. So we do have it, and obviously I have the word of James Tracy that we'll get the field visits for May as well as June.
But whatever other work we've been doing at TRC.
We have all our history since probably 90, if not even earlier. That was on that SharePoint. So we now have that data.
It's just good hygiene for us always to be parking whatever information we're generating with a contractor in our own archives.
Does TRC know that we hired Wilcox?
We haven't told them that yet.
We think that, the sales world is not competing, for years.
We checked with Carl at Wilcox and Barton and TRC. There's no non-compete, so he's fine with that.
Great.
Yeah, we're in good shape. Any other questions? Terrific. Dam spillway update. Would you like to address that, Mark?
Yes, so we had a proposal from the bridge engineer that does spillway inspections and subcontracts, and watches our spillway, which was WMC. They came back with a temporary proposal of $260,000 to fix the spillway from leaking. As it comes over the spillway, it's going under the spillway and migrating out. If that temporary solution works, of course, it has to be designed and put out to bid before and approved by DEEP before the inspection in 2027. If that works, it's every 2 years, it'll be evaluated to see if it's holding. If it doesn't work, the total rebuild of the spillway was estimated at $2.5 million. So that put me into a shock a few months back. So I had our other town attorney evaluate all their work, which is Barton and LaJudith. And they came back and,
Meaning the engineer.
yes,
You said attorney.
engineer. Thank you, Henry. Yeah, it was not your firm. So they reviewed everything and said, yes, we are in agreement. We looked at all the data points, all the analysis. I have a full write-up if anybody's interested.
Yeah, here, if anything.
It's shocking.
Right. So they said, we agree. So I went to the Board of Selectmen. I said, I'd like to get a full proposal for the temporary solution. They said, go ahead. I got a proposal for $21,000 to write the bid spec, to go out to bid, to hire someone to fix the spillway temporarily. So last night, the Board of Selectmen put that on the May 19th Board of Selectmen meeting with a town meeting at 6:45 to approve using our contingency money. Plus, we had an extra $3,000 in doing all this analysis. So $24,000 will be taken out of contingency, which we have, to pay for the bid spec to design the repair. And then they said, I guess there's macadam glopped on the top of the spillway behind it that was a temporary fix long ago that's not holding. And then it's going in the first crack and then going underneath and dissipating. But Dave Vanderbilt did find, by moving a rock and showing Mary and sending me pictures, that there is a PVC pipe coming out that we didn't know. We thought it was just oozing out of the rocks, but it's a pipe that's taking water from the spillway somewhere. And
We had hoped it may be a temporary solution, but unfortunately, because the voids are there, they have to be filled, and we have to
so
eventually.
it'll be one of those like you see on the TV where you level your sidewalk by pumping cement underneath. So it'll be that and many other things.
And how are we funding the $250,000 when we're going out to bid? Don't we have to have, in good faith, know that the people were?
Right. So since that hasn't made the budget process, one option would be to put it into the bond anticipation coming up for the Pine Street and Thompson Hill culverts. And I think we could pay for it in short-term borrowing before it would actually have to be bonded. So I'll work on that, or I'll also look for grants. But at the moment, I need to know what it's going to cost. Worst case, there's always funds that the town does not spend every year at the end of our budget cycle, which is in 2 months. That could be designated for the spillway. So usually there's at least 200,000 that, for whatever reason, employees leaving and coming, or we usually have some money left over. So I'll figure that out. I haven't gotten that far.
Thank you, Mark. Muffy?
How many years has it been since we've done major work on the dam? I recall years ago, a very significant drawdown. And I think the purpose of that was to do work on the dam, but that was many years
There was
ago.
a party board split at the top, I think is the last thing.
After the last hurricane, where we had a sandbag, the base, there was larger riprap put on the bottom and the beams across the top. And so that was in the last 10 years.
More than 10 years ago. I've been here 10, and it was done.
When you
before.
had your
About 12, 13.
Nigerian party, they took the lake down.
So that was
give or take.
That was to stabilize.
2010.
Stabilize the dam to make it higher, so that any overflow wouldn't go
Yeah.
on the dam.
I'm surprised they didn't look at this spillway issue then.
That probably wasn't evident.
Greg?
When would this repair need to be done? So that-
Right after the drawdown.
Okay, so in the fall.
And the goal was to do a swimming before that, is that?
And hopefully the repair survives the 2027 inspection.
And
So it'll be
Mr.
inspected.
Lakeman on board with this plan, obviously.
When we were talking just earlier about an archive or some files that we have, is this something that we have files like dams that have been worked on?
I have quite a bit in my office, so it's probably something we should spend a little more effort organizing.
Yeah.
Because that was probably 2 town managers ago that handled it. It was probably another Jonathan.
And one Beth, probably two,
Right.
1 or 2 Beth Luntz ago
Right.
at DPW, so.
So it's something, you're right, I have chunks of files of all these big projects, but probably should spend some time organizing, so all that information's at our fingertips.
Who would do that?
Well, that'd be me on my spare time.
Yeah.
I'll volunteer.
We'll get a few interns to help you,
That'd be good.
seriously.
Yeah,
We help you.
Subcommittee, organization subcommittee.
Subcommittee. Well, at least thank you for the offer. Yeah,
And actually, it's real interesting. You get to go back and look through all the,
Like the old smell.
I feel like I have a lot to learn, experience,
Yeah.
firsthand.
you might have to venture to the old firehouse. There's a lot of records over there, mostly school construction,
Ooh,
fire department construction.
So just let us know when you wanna.
that'd be cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mark, thank you for that update. We have a letter that came in as a communication, similar to Mr. Peters, George Peters. This letter is requesting their boat, which is not registered to them, be moored, as it has been apparently for a number of years at 50 Erdoney Road. This is Bill Life, who has been on the lake for at least 2 decades. He's right up the street on Erdoney from us. And his son has spent several summers here, and they utilize his boat, or it's registered to him. Can I entertain a motion to accept Bill Life's letter?
We'll talk about it, Bruce.
Well, why don't we have a motion and then discussion? A motion, Bob, to accept the letter, second? Thank you, Muffy. Discussion. Thank you, Henry.
This, as opposed to the George Peters one, does not meet our statute. Because the person who owns the boat is not, spending the required time, on the lake. It reports that he will be on and off during the 2026 summer season, in residence. It doesn't report that he's gonna be here for required, 30 days.
It's 30 days.
Yeah.
Continue.
Does it have to be a continuous 30 days?
Does not have to be a continuous 30 days. I would like to see if we could, one, easily get the letter edited to, cover, that, because I do also know that, like, patrol has thrown boats off the lake, and I think rightly so at the time, unless we're gonna change what we're doing of, a relative that owned a boat, and there was a town resident, that was using it, but it was here for the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, and the resident's here for, the full period of time, so we have to,
Yeah.
make, some clear guidance. Otherwise, I think we need to think about, the concept of, family use
Yep.
of the boat and so forth, and broaden our concept of who can come in under the 30 days. I don't disagree that we want to try to figure out a solution here, but we've got to be careful.
So it sounds like short term, we can edit this and ensure that he's going to be within, but longer term, we can consider.
Yeah.
Which when we get to priorities, that could be something to suggest. Question?
Re-register the vote.
Yeah, or make them a
Yeah.
co-owner, a co-registration, exactly. There are ways around this, but hopefully the simplest thing is to just add that he'll be here off and on for at least 30 days during the voting season, whether he is or not, at least it's stated here.
Well, and we spoke about this afternoon. Mark will be writing letters if LMAC advises and the BOS approves, which they did, George Peters' letter, and we'll probably get one from Clark Robinson, very similar situation. So they'll hand carry a letter to the launch. So the Marine Patrol will be aware of that this has been approved.
I won't hand carry it. I'll give it to the owner of the boat.
You will? No, I'm presuming.
To present to.
Or will
Yes.
you carry it? Thank you.
Correct.
Was there any other?
Well, I would ask maybe a friendly amendment to say we approve it, provided.
Contingent
we
on.
clarify that the, Chris will be in resident off and on for at least 30 days.
Would you accept that, a friendly amendment? Okay.
So after it says on all, just say for at least 30 days.
But what does that mean exactly? He has to spend 30 days and nights here or just come visit here for 30 days?
We don't.
Yeah.
I think our ordinance reads days, doesn't say days.
Mm. That's right.
Also talks about 30 days minimum for rental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't say nights. Just say days.
Couldn't get a look at that.
So you'll accept that friendly amendment?
Say, well,
Thank you. Any further discussion? Call vote. All those in favor of the motion proposed by Bob, friendly amended by Henry? Any opposed? Yeah? Thank you.
I'm just working on the resident. Verbiage, because when we looked at it, it was 30 continuous. Okay, and not intermittent, because that don't meet the whole, being able to have stake within the town and not your vacationers that are only here for a couple of weeks. So,
Correct, but this is a family situation that's been on the lake for 20 years. This isn't someone, excuse me?
I think they can hear from one. I understand that.
Bill just told me
I
20 years.
understand that, but if he puts his name as a co-owner, then I think it meets your statute that we can tie a name to an address in town. Okay, but to have a boat solely registered, you're gonna open Pandora's box for other situations.
Okay, we already have a motion accepted and voted on.
And
I'm going to suggest we parking lot this. And Henry, I'd like to work with you and, if needed, Rich Roberts to come up with, is this appropriate?
It'd be better, I don't disagree with what Jeff is saying, it certainly would be better. I was just looking for the simplest way, but it would be better if, the one of the people that is in residence becomes a co-registrant on.
So,
Could either say spending 30 days, at least 30 days residing, or
continuous.
It does say.
Or-
Well, I'm looking at the part. I know the rental part. If you rent something, it has to be at least 30 days. And from my understanding, the spirit of the registration with the lake ordinance was in that spirit of 30 continuous days.
Yeah, and we're stretching it here because of the family,
Situation.
arrangement that
I don't get me wrong, I understand the family.
No.
But you go on record, okay, and you make this exception, you're gonna set a precedent, and it's gonna open it up to discussion for other very, very gray areas. When you guys just got done redoing, I wonder how he's done it for the last 17 years.
What did we do for Clark last year? Because Clark is the same.
It was a lease, that Clark's was a lease letter.
That, they just want the letter in advance so that it's clean by the time it hits Marine Patrol at the launch.
But the kids were leasing the
They were
cabin.
staying at the house. They were on vacation for a month.
Yeah, so it worked out. It's just, they didn't have a
John.
letter of agreement in advance
Oh,
when they got to Marine Patrol.
Yeah, but, you know, I think
But sorry, it's not so easy. We already,
all right, one conversation, please. Thank
we
you.
already have our season, so it's not so easy to go back now. Put a co-register on the road.
You can,
You already have your registration.
you can open it, just
You
go
can.
down to a DMV and
They make it
easy.
Oh,
Make an appointment.
All right, I'm going to table this. Parking lot bit. Henry, you and I have to review the ordinance. And let's make a decision as to how we can help Mr. Life this season. And then moving forward. So, yeah,
Like trying to do the one thing.
yeah, exactly.
It's not doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I suspect it's, one of those things where they thought it was a grandfather thing or something. To that effect.
Somehow, they'll sticker last year, it's not 17.
Yep.
How'd you get a sticker? That's what I did. Yeah. I would have to go back and look at the records.
We'd have to ask Jay or something. Okey dokey. Any other communications? Muffy? I know you thought you had one more. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's audience of citizens. I thought I saw something go across my email about an application.
That's for permit review.
I didn't see it on the agenda.
Yeah, what we talked about yesterday.
It's on the back.
Oh,
It's in a different format now.
Yeah.
Oh, you do same thing.
All right, Muffy first, then Henry.
I just wanted to mention, if you haven't seen it, I know I circulated it to the CLA board. Steve has published a draft report on wake boats and wake surfing, in March. And it's quite interesting. There's a lot of data in it.
Ton of data.
And I think it would be worth everyone here, looking at it. You've seen it. You've seen it. And so, Mary, some the rest of you to see.
And I will build on that. The Connecticut Federation of Lakes already has had a video relative to pointing out pros and cons and giving their view. And I'll also send that PowerPoint because I thought it was powerful and captured a lot of data into what makes sense, pros and cons, with their opinion, which they have shared with the legislature. And that bill did not pass. It didn't even go up for vote. It didn't even go up for vote. Yeah, thank you, Bucky. Yes, audience of citizens.
Mary,
Oh,
And what we have to do an amendment to the agenda, so move, but we should add under communications D, your preliminary meeting communication to our members of the board. Talk about that in March because of the fact that we're having communications outside of this meeting that they,
you mean the emails I'm sending out?
yes.
Okay. So we called those chairperson's notes or something last
Yeah.
time?
Chairperson's notes or meeting agenda items or something like that, so that they're transparent, the communications that are going on between.
Yeah, and those emails also go to the town and are archived by the town. They go to talk to you, Jennifer, Robin, and somebody else whose name I don't know. So,
But they're not part of our official record that way. I don't know.
Karen.
I don't know what Mark does.
Karen.
This gets known.
okay.
Henry's saying he wants the whole board to get copied, I think.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no.
we should make reference. Yeah, not all the attachments to the email, but just the email.
If there were,
Yeah, so that people know of the communications that are taking place between all board members and the chairman outside of the meeting.
Correct, which is fine, but we're already doing that. The town has that in their archives. So
Noted in the
it does.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not sure that it's in our archive. That's the point. It may well be that Mark and Jennifer know about it, but I don't know whether they keep that.
It also should be noted in the minutes so that the public could look at them if they chose.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
chairperson note emails that prepare for our LMAC meeting should be reflected in communications.
Yes.
Okay, with attachment.
Yeah, just the email. We don't have to worry about the
Thank
attachment because the attachments come up in the course of the meeting anyway.
Okay, awesome, thank you. No guests tonight, but we do have an audience of citizens. Nothing, thank you. Thank you, audience of citizens. You can at least say who you are and where you live.
Sally Robinson, 26.
Awesome, thanks, Sally, thanks for joining us. Unfinished business. Oh, Brendan is on for permit review. Brendan, anything in audience of citizens?
You're on mute, I believe. Brendan.
Do we unmute or does he?
Thank you. Double muted. Yeah, so I'm just here for the permit review. That's all I have.
For permit review. Okay. Let's move on and get there. State of the Lake Outreach and Educational Rollout Communications. Thank you again for all of the work and input in the special meeting. All the materials for rolling out the non-motorized self-inspection educational program are complete, are in Jennifer's hands, and but one link, which she's working on, and in the next a couple of business days, it'll probably be up on the town website recreation webpage. And the official kickoff is May 15th. I know there were some concerns about communications, and we did publish communications in the Columbia Views. It will be in the May monthly announcing the program that the town puts out. It also will be a postcard that will include the gate launch, right now not open, but the schedule for the gate launch, which will be announced later. It will include the Sake of the Lake program for non-motorized. It will include the motorboat stickers, and it will include the AIS stamp. So this will be going out whenever Jennifer can get it out. She'll work with the printer, and it goes to every town resident who has a mailing address here. Okay, so we'll be rolling that out. We did meet also with Marine Patrol today. They're aware of the program. They know their role in terms of handouts, encouraging people to take the pledge and get their stickers for self inspection. The sticker itself, and this was an executive decision. We chose this for the reason of let's be consistent with what we do for motorboats. So the motorboat is a square sticker. The Sake of the Lake will be the same exact color every year as the sticker for motorboats, but it will be a circle, which we'll ask you to put on your kayaks, paddleboards, etc. Okay, so it says 2026 for the Sake of the Lake of Columbia Lake, for the sake of Columbia Lake. Okay, I think you like that.
Yeah, and that's the same. It's the state
Same exact.
registry.
Green.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, there's 4 different colors they cycle. So this year is green.
So we are good to go. And I just can't thank you all enough. That was a lot of hard work to put that together. And I'm sure there'll be hiccups along the way, and we'll work through them as we learn rolling out something that's brand new.
And we should all try to be the first ones to go sign up,
Sign
and do that, sign the pledge, and show our support.
You start doing that May 15th, is that?
Yeah,
If you show up beforehand, they won't be ready for it.
We're waiting on the stickers. So that's why we put it to May 15th.
That should go on my sunfish, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, anything below, it doesn't have a motor.
I need a sticker on my sunfish.
Yeah, how many stickers you order?
500? Some, 500, I think.
Yeah. 10.
Yeah, maybe 7.
Yeah. Right. You better
Well,
be ready to reorder quickly. Before, while there's
Yeah.
money.
Excuse me.
We may have to reorder or up the order.
Just to go back, but just looked up, it's 28 consecutive days. 4 weeks of consecutive days.
Oh.
So that's 28 days.
Well, let's revisit this and see what we can do to have a win-win here, short-term and long-term. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chuck and Bob. So there you have it. And once the link goes up, I will send it out to LMAC. Even though it's official May 15th, we've already had people come in asking to take the test. So a few people saw it in some communications already.
It's good, because I was wondering that, as I was kayaking yesterday, I didn't want to be guilty of being a bad person on the lake without having, complied.
Henry, you'd be the first in jail. Good. Early detection, rapid response plan. Quick review, Frank. We have it. What are your next action plans and/or we do have some others who've already reviewed it. Thoughts.
So as you'll recall, we started talking about this really as something that we'd be doing this upcoming year, but because the budget surplus that we had did not be an invoice, this was a $1,000 expenditure that we were able to get this year. So we accelerated this project. I have conducted a full Teams call with James Tracy at GRC back in March to initiate this and make sure we understood sort of the scope of this project. So I think of this plan as sort of like the mid plan, right? So you have the early education, letting the public know about understanding what AIS is on the threats to the lake. You have what is called risk plan, and then the final piece is really integrating with the town and their lake. So this is really designed with the audience in mind being some town officials, who may not be as familiar as in the weeds as we are, right, with the lake. So it's designed to line up with the threats that we've identified as the greatest threats for early detection on our lake. Surveyed some of the other southern New England lake communities and sort of what their best practices have been, both in terms of identification, but also that, and lining it up with what the contacts are at our state side, whether it's DEEP or health department or other officials in the state. So, yeah, I just want to give you that sort of that frame of what this purpose, and there's a lot more to be done, I think, after this is sort of approved at this stage. Then it's really integrating with what is the town's emergency response plan, right? So then they're understanding what the lake needs and the special items that would come up in a lake situation. So I think we need to think about that aspect of it and work with them, with the town after this is approved. So we're introducing it tonight, trying to collect all of our thoughts, and I think it probably hopefully at the June meeting and let some of those out for it, so we can get this season, get some of this underway.
I would have thought that we all would have read it before tonight, because I thought that was the whole point of sending things to people for the meeting, that we read what we've got.
Yeah. So
Did everybody read it?
Yeah, take that.
So, well, I sent my comments to you, but so for me, using the oil spill woodland terrace as an example of what what we need to do better. That's a great example because Deep was in control of that investigation, and because Deep was in control of it, the town wasn't communicating at all.
Right.
And so the failure, if there was a failure around communicating around an event, was that disconnect between Deep doing the investigation and not wanting to say anything about it until the investigation is actually completed, and people just begging for information on what was going on because there were trucks there every single day, dig all winter, blah, blah, blah. So for me, the essence of this plan has to be that integration between the town and whoever else, and again, case of oil spill, there's an obligation to contact me for sure. What I said in my message, and Mark will probably fall out of his chair when he hears it, is I think the whole thing has to be really dumbed down so that, there's, in a perfect world, there's one name and one phone number. And if you have a problem, that's who you call. In a perfect world, it would be this guy, the town administrator. And then he triages it. If it's an oil spill, Deep needs to be notified. OAIS needs to be notified, or Deep, or whoever it is. Or if it's a safety issue, the Eastern Highlands, or whoever it is. I mean,
Sure.
that was my reaction.
I
There
think you're
was a
right.
lot of great content there. It was all very good.
I think that's what they're trying to break it out by the different threats. So it's kind of bacteria, more like health related topic for the other end is Eastern Highlands would have to be, so have to be brought in. So I think that's right. This is just sort of gives you the template, but we have to know on the town side, what is their protocol for emergency response? Like who is the point person on the town side? And then look at what their protocols are and how does ours integrate. So I think we have to say, here are the threats, here's how we believe this is how you address them. But now, I'm sorry, looking at you, Mark.
Well, we could expand it too, because you're focused obviously on the lake and water resources, but it gets to a bigger picture of when do you call 911, when do you call the fire department, when do you call the tree warden, when do you call the animal control department. So you could take this and keep expanding what do you post on your refrigerator as to who to call for what crisis.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It wasn't the BOS meeting, it was a town meeting where Steve stood up at the oil spill town meeting and said, I take accountability and we're going to be updating our emergency response plan for the town so that it's actionable.
Yes, and that's what
So-
he wants me to be able to grab a binder out of my
Right.
shelf, and whoever's in my position could see exactly what to do with every
So
crisis.
are you,
This would be incorporated into it.
okay. And who's doing that?
It would be me.
Mark,
Consultant.
Well,
What,
it would be a combination of emergency management director, fire chief, myself, public works director. We'd all get together but I'd have to drive it.
there's an emergency management person
Yes,
in the town?
Jerry James.
I was gonna say, just so you're not carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. I mean, we do have departments here, our department, emergency management, you're more of a quarterback when it comes to those personnel that's actually.
And when I say it's me, I would have to delegate and define what we're trying to accomplish.
And have an actionable plan.
Right.
Okay, and then Henry.
What happens if it's on a weekend?
That'll have to be in the plan.
I think it's an excellent document and more than a good start, but I agree with Muffy and what Ann was hinting at. I didn't have a sense as to who this was directed to. It's kind of an education document, but we don't need every citizen sending out samples or every citizen calling Deep because they see gas floating on the lake where motorboat went by that had a poor oil and fuel mixture coming out of its exhaust. And I do think the concept, it's going to be its own separate plan, but it needs to be integrated with the town's emergency response, which is more human focused, I think, than this is human focused in certain regards with regard to cyanobacteria or whatever.
But it doesn't really say the who of the who, what, when, where. It gives some of that. Right?
And I think we should streamline the process of sending these samples in for testing, because there's an emphasis on a 48-hour turnaround, but we're putting them in the U.S. mail to get them there in the first place. And it seemed to me that it would be better to be driving them direct to Elm Street and Hartford and handing them over rather than, trying to send them to New Haven or whatever. And we probably should use one lab or the other to be consistent. And it probably ought to be, it could easily be that it comes to Mark, but then Mark delegates it to somebody on LMAC to go look at it and make a decision as to whether it should be sent off and to do the sending rather than having, 153 residents around the lake deputized.
Yeah, we need that to be in writing, actionable. It goes to him, to her, to that. Let me give you an example. The cyanobacteria algae we had, and I have to look it up, 3 or 4 years ago, there was quite a patch. And we took samples, but we needed a turnaround for Eastern Highlands very quickly. There were 2 labs in the United States who could turn it around. We had to FedEx it to the state of Washington. And the only other one was New Jersey. And Jersey wanted more money. So we FedExed it to Washington and got the turnaround like that. But it was amazing to me that the turnaround to get something that significant was 2 labs in the United States capable of the timeline. Now that may have changed over the last 3 or 4 years, but we learned a lot just doing that. And that was Carl's first year, so it must have been 2022.
And that's all this big, it's an educational piece, but it's kind of hard from the description and the pictures to necessarily distinguish the lookalikes.
Yep.
And I don't know how we can possibly improve that other than potentially bigger and better pictures. And then I was concerned about other triage type things. If somebody has a septic tank breakup, that can be of concern, and you can see that if not by smell, by algae accumulating around a curtain drain or whatever. And unfortunately, we now have lots of engineered systems and are less likely to have an outbreak. But if we have torrential rains, low front lawns, it is possible. And the other thing would be, in addition to oil and gas, is the concept of any other toxic spill, because you could easily have a ChemLog tank have a spill and go into one of our drains. In the watershed, or something else fall off a truck and break and wash in, or be potentially washed into the call.
Best we can. We've got to try to consider all possibilities. But again, the integration with the town to make that actionable and have actual who you contact and what's that information. Good points. Good points.
Suggest that everybody send their comments back.
You can send it to me.
Okay.
I'll add those two. I was thinking zebra mussels were another one that.
Yes.
So we do have some additions
Yeah.
to this. I saw this as many towns, most towns, have this plan you can pull off the shelf for emergencies. Right? There are only a handful of towns that actually have a lake that or body of water where you would need a special segment like this. That's an additional segment in that folder. So it's really designed to be educational for a town administrator who is responsible for being that point person. But I think what we want to make sure is when I was talking about the first part of the plan, right, the education piece, you want the public to be aware of it. And I think you're right, having a better materials that show the lookalikes, right? And maybe it's an illustration. I did some research on some of the images that you can pull from on the comparisons, and there are better illustrations that we can use than what are printed here. But I think that's part of the education, public education piece, which is a different audience and a different way we want to use it. And then there's also the once it is integrated to a town plan, I think there's things that we can recommend as LMAC to increase the speed at which things get done. Right? Like what is it? The old phone tree, can you make it shorter, right, to get to the right people? What are the things that we can do? Work with a group of volunteers who are regularly surveying, right? What are they looking for? They're really trained to understand the difference. We could be doing this during the peak season for this. It could be the eyes and of our detection system. So I think there's a lot more that we can do. Really just get started, right? We get tied into it now, and then we try to refine it from there. But I'll take all these comments and try to incorporate them, and I can go back to see for the final.
Henry, one thought. Anybody else?
One more thought. While I'm saying we've got to concentrate and get it tomorrow, but I don't want to rule out citizen support because that's really, so if we do, I don't know what the right words are, but we have Columbia Lake Watchdog and early detection plan or Columbia Lake Citizen Action and early detection plan or something, so that we have all those eyes working for us, but the information gets funneled quickly to the right place.
Right.
Like it.
I mean, it's even part of getting your sticker. If you're getting your sticker, you should know who to be calling if you think you see something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Another item for future agenda for thinking about it is how do we respond, right? If you see something, we're going to use maps, we're going to use herbicides. What are the responses that we feel comfortable with? Because again, speed is something that's very important. So we should have these debates when we don't have the issue.
And it may be depending on what is the situation in terms of, is it an invasive species? Is it cyanobacteria? Is it?
We may have some kind of emergency fund instead of aside for just that point, so we don't have to wait for a selectmen's meeting to move money. General fund and
But I was wondering if we could, I'm paying attention, but it's also just dawned on me that maybe there's an app for identifying weeds,
There is.
for pond weeds though?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. That we could test out.
yeah.
I've used it before and sent them to Carl. It actually takes a picture. Find it. Picture this is the app, and costs a few bucks a year. It's on the credit card. You take a picture of it, it comes back, but then I forward that picture to Carl just in case.
We can always do that anyway.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? The blind identifier picture?
Picture this. It's called in my thing.
The Google inquiry.
Yes.
I can do it.
On our farm, we have a creeping thistleweed that is annoying. And when I found this app, it pictured it beautifully, told me what to do, which isn't working. And so now we're considering it different.
So
But that could be part of weed control.
There you
Right?
go.
If someone sees something strange,
And
contact weed control and then
Yeah.
the mic goes over.
come up.
Thanks.
which is, honestly, I've been getting the phone calls. And I've been over to Egan's, I've been over on Route 87, and it's turned out to be filamentous green algae, just a crappy, squeaky green algae. But you're right, we don't have that formalized, and we need to have that formalized.
I do want to thank Frank for a great start and getting a lot done actually for a short period of time. It's really important. And, that's what I'm looking for. We need to move quickly on this and get this emergency response plan in place. So thank you for your leadership here. It's very well written and a lot of good info there. So it's a good start.
Thank you, Muffy, and I want to acknowledge Frank also for that and ask each and every one of you to think about it, to get comments to Frank before the next meeting, June. And then, Frank, maybe you and Mark can have a chat about how do we start kind of the twofold, the watchdog or educational part, as well as the integration. And let's build on that. Terrific. Thank you. Clasping pond leaf removal protocol. We had a little hiccup. Were you aware of the hiccup with the removal?
With the 185.
Yeah,
We
okay.
talked about that.
That's been cleared up.
Yeah, so it's been cleared up for this year.
We're doing
Savannah is rewriting it. She wants to have some specific, measurable, attainable, reliable information. It's called SMART. S-M-A-R-T. Oh, trackable. In the plan, so she's rewriting it for this season in terms of how can we measure this. And Carl gave her some great ideas. She spoke with Carl last week. So this pilot program will happen this year. However, in years to come, the Wetlands Commission will be discussing how can we do this with a lower fee, but likely a fee. And I know the CLA had a thought on that.
Yeah, so we talked about this at CLA or last board meeting, and idea that was floated, I think has a lot of merit, is the CLA applies for the permit, pays the $185, and all the work gets done with that permit. So
if we can pull that off, that.
Let's see.
So if we think out of the box a little bit, there might be some.
Wait and see what Wetlands comes back with for years to come, because this is going to continue to happen.
It's mandated. It's yeah. Well, some of it goes.
It's in a statute. Yeah, 50 goes to the state.
So where are we now on taking out, are you taking application?
We have 7 applications.
So he is accepting.
Has accepted them, and she's getting out the revised with the measurements probably next week. Carl again encouraged, don't start now. It's too easy to pull, but the horizontal roots are still there. Wait until it's thicker. He suggested you not even start until June. So we have a window of time to get this out and get this to people. She's hoping for 15 applications. I actually am going to volunteer a neighbor and maybe help them because we are seeing it over on our stretch also. And it really frightened a young boy last year. And it really made a mark on me to see that. Oh, I know nothing. But we took him in the next day, and he now knows there are weeds that exist. So anyways, there you have it. New business. Oh, I'm sorry, Greg.
Jump in. Mike and I had.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some assistance for people that would like assistance.
Right.
And I think one thing Savannah really could do is not give more specific directions, like the weed goes, horizontal, make sure you get the weed.
Okay.
Or the root, I mean.
Okay.
Because she said you can pull them, you can cut them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And just way too vague. People are gonna go out there. So I had talked to the diver that puts moorings in. about what he would charge if someone wanted to pay. If they didn't have the means to do it themselves. And we get a diver to go in there, cut them, pull them, whatever the correct approved method is. And then, Mike or I would be on top gathering weeds. Putting back to the homeowner in the garbage bag.
That would be excellent.
So with just a handful of them, we weren't sure. I called the Boy Scout leader.
Yeah.
I never heard back from them. I saw there was in the, there's another contact in the week, quarterly newsletter we get. So it's gonna reach out to somebody else, but, the concept is find a diver, right, and estimate maybe an hour. And the official professional was 150 an hour plus travel time from Mystic area, so if we can do it for a day, group them all together in a day, that would kind of make sense to charge the homeowner, say $100 if they want to do it, but that requires a lot of homeowners that need this service. So we had started to broach that. As we get the applications in, we can talk to Savannah and say, hey, do these people have tools we need to do it, or would they be looking for some? And then, I'm a certified diver from 40 years ago. I was like, maybe I can just get a tank and,
Well, we do have,
like,
we do have, has a snorkel.
Yeah, no, it's a hooker. Oh, yeah. Pumps it down from the surface. Yeah. So it's good for the 10 to 12, easily good for the 10 to 12 feet. There's going down to them. So I was thinking, you might be able to find a local landscape that would be willing to use. Well, so I think we could find it one way or another, and it would have to be separate from the town, separate from this permit. This is the homeowner reaching out to this person, and then some volunteers.
Why separate from the?
For liability, right? All right. Yeah, it's not a town employee.
Yeah, I don't want to get in the business of weed pulling.
Yeah.
As a town function.
Right.
I'm not
Pretty
sure we
soon.
can do it without permits.
No, the homeowner would have a permit.
Oh, okay.
The removal card.
Right.
The removal card is separate from the town
Thank you.
directly to the homeowner.
Right. Subcontracted.
We have a Navy SEAL who's going to dive and remove weeds from his swim area.
On the lake? Well, so that would be, are you willing to charge a small fee help with other homeowners?
Mark DeRosa.
Oh, really?
Former Navy SEAL, and he's gonna dive to remove, he's already made the application. And told Savannah.
Well, so Mark, or if you were thinking of Vanderbilt, and ask him. Yeah. So I think.
Fine, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's the guy who went through the fire.
No, I know. I understand. This is.
These were excellent. Yeah, excellent ideas. Thank
So
you.
I don't know, so Savannah can get the word out, don't start till June 1. That gives us not much time to find out who
can.
So, yeah, would it be, maybe I can connect with Savannah,
And then,
say,
yeah,
I don't wanna push it, right? But if people are getting permits or they don't wanna do it because they don't know how to do it.
I would say, from personal experience, it only gets easier waiting because it grows longer, easier to identify. There's more to get a hold of. You don't necessarily need to dive as deep, and it really doesn't lower until late July. So we don't want to push it. But
right.
there is time to be doing this at the end of June.
No, that's what you said. Take it to the end of June.
So maybe Savannah should also get that up.
Well, she's integrating that into her updated plan. Because
When she gets out.
we spoke with Carl.
That was in the first go around of the window.
It was? Okay, thank you.
So maybe a simple thing would be a notice out to the CLA. There's people willing to help with cutting weeds, certified scuba divers or.
I know he's not here, but Jim Santos, who unfortunately was on an airplane, right now, offered also to help.
Yeah.
He's a diver.
Hmm?
He's a diver.
He's not a diver, he's a cutter. He cut him last year.
So that's the question I still have. Is it cutting or pulling them? If you cut them, do they die?
No,
If you
well-
pull them, you're disturbing the lake bottom.
Yeah.
the unfortunate news from Carl is this is going to be temporary.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
news. You're gonna get an 8-12, he thinks 12 weeks, 3 months of weed-free swim area, and then they'll come back.
Yeah.
And he said, be careful not to do it when the seeds are, or the flowers are starting, because then you're spreading the
But
seeds
it's
and making.
cutting or pulling. What do you want to?
It really didn't
It's
matter.
gonna come back anyway.
It's gonna come back anyways.
The-
Even contact herbicide won't get to this because of the root system. It would be a whole systemic lake herbicide.
Okay, so it's not that big a deal.
But
Yeah.
it's really the seeds. These
Yeah.
seeds come
Yep.
from seeds, and the seeds are good for 4 to 6 years.
Okay.
So if you seeded it last year, some
You're gonna see.
will come up. But so what we're doing is we're not getting rid of it, but we're fighting it. So every year there's fewer seeds. We should start to see headway like with the geese.
Yeah.
And if you cut it as opposed to try to pull it out by the roots, because it's a feed plant, it really doesn't matter. But pulling it out by the roots does disturb the rest of the bottom. It basically plows the bottom for other invasive species to be able to more easily plant. So the concept, from my perspective, of cutting or pulling is better, because when I did it last year, I got it down to about like that. It grew up a bit more, but it never flowered.
Yeah.
And so from that in mind too, if you're gonna cut it, if you cut it the 1st of June, you got more time for regrowth. If you cut it on June 30th, you got less time.
Yeah.
For.
And you got a
regrowth
taller-
by August.
Yep.
And those back.
How did you cut it?
No, I actually just broke it,
Okay.
and-
Root strength.
Well, they break fairly easily, but,
It's nice.
I was tugging on it to see whether it would uproot, and it just all wanted to break off. And since I was doing snorkel diving from the bottom, trying to break off 3 or 4 and come up, get another breath and go down was manageable. But when I pulled, they would be breaking off about 6 to 10 inches off the bottom.
So Greg, this is great data.
Want me to connect with Savannah?
I was gonna say, can you, and if she needs to tell her to reach out to me, I don't think you need to, and see what she says, because she had to update the plan based on, it's a pilot now, and we're not charging.
Right.
To make it look like a pilot. But excellent stuff, and we can get volunteers out to help. I'm more than happy to take something to. Excuse me?
What's the window? June 1?
You can start in May, but until the end of June was how Carl pictured it. We asked him, can you take this out any time of the year? And he says, sure, if you want to spread the seeds.
Well, it's also the last one to observe when they see flowers this year as part of the TRC.
If they're out for the field visit. Yeah.
See flowers, so we know based on our water temperature and everything, it usually happens.
Yeah, we can do that ourselves too, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
observe it.
Easily.
Well, Greg, we're happy to send them out. See, if you let us know exactly what you're looking for.
Okay, so let's coordinate. We can make it happen. Thank you, Mike and Greg. Let me switch to new business, at least part A, Marine Patrol, to give you a heads up and an update. And then, for sake of time, the prioritization issue or initiatives is kind of long-term. I may go to permit reviews, because Mike, I know you've got one that you want to review, and Brendan has been on. And thank you for your patience, Brendan. We had a meeting at 3:30 just today with Mark Brian Ald, Head of Marine Patrol, Jeff Bob, thank you, Jake, Head of Recreation, and the Recreation Assistant Director,
Christina.
Christina. And we reviewed a fair amount of information. I want to try to be quick and yet not hurry. And Jeff, or Bob, I'm going to ask you to kind of harp in, but here's kind of the overview of where we are. The Marine Patrol was really focused on wanting to be ambassadors, and yet there have to be some enforcement types of things. We identified kind of a major versus minor type of enforcement or penalty. Major being this is immediate, it has some safety issue involved, and it could be egregious. The minor being it's an equipment thing or procedural thing, or somebody's on the lake after 10 p.m. and nobody's around, but how do we handle that type of thing? The emphasis was really then focused on the Marine Patrol does a good job of that, and what are the steps that they can take if there is a 3-strike policy to be able to ensure that we're sending the right message in a warning and educational wise, and yet if it continues to be a repeat offender, there has to be a little bit more force to help that person or both understand what's going on. So kind of came up this way. All warnings, all stoppage of any boat for any reason will be documented appropriately by the Marine Patrol. Okay. And if it's a first offense, not egregious, hey, we saw something, it's an educational based on this town ordinance, based on the state regulation. And yet there will be a written warning given or a hard copy provided as kind of a first strike if it's a 3-strike policy. Second was all warnings are going to be bubbled up, but no action has to be taken. But if this is a second warning, it goes to Jake, the head of recreation. And Jake, with guidance from Mark, can weigh in on it and say, are we at a point where whatever has happened, we now have to take this on and there is a penalty. And that penalty per the town ordinance that was passed last year is up to a $250 fine. So strike 2 is more of a warning, not education. We already educated you, more of a warning, and it's at Jake's level. Maybe not a penalty. Strike 3 is, hey, this warning is going to Jake. Jake is calling Mark, and there's going to be some letter from Mark identifying the penalty. Did I get that right?
And it could be a penalty on at any of those stages, depending on the severity of the incident. If it's life-threatening, you're getting a write-up and a possible financial fine. If it's
And those privileges.
we can't do that yet because that's not in the ordinance.
So I think what the overall consensus was, if there is something that is a behavior that is observed that could potentially cause death or serious physical injury, obviously law enforcement is going to be contacted.
Correct.
Something on a lesser safety issue, or any contact that we they're going to document the contact and who don't mind that away. They'll definitely approach it as an educational aspect, trying to but really what the enforcement's looking at is the behavior modification if we're not able to get them to accept the education and they're continuing with the same unsafe or administrative problem. There's your lesser violation, whether it be navigation lights, whether it be safety equipment, whether it be operation after hours, something that's not a danger to people, but it is still in violation of the town limits. Those are going to be the documentations, okay? But it's ultimately going to fall onto the town administrator on what he decides, because he's the one that's going to give whatever penalties.
And it could involve the first selectman
Yep.
as well. I usually don't go
And
to
the
that point
fine's
without.
not gonna be right off the rip $250. It's gonna be up to mark. It's just that it can go up to $250.
Correct.
And I made the recommendation during this meeting that for certain violations that would be covered under the P statute for boating operations, there's a fine schedule. So let's say it's an unregistered boat, for example, that's a $118 ticket from P. If it's a repeat offense, then Mark could assess a $118 fee. Not the $250, but something that's reasonable comparable to what the state already has. That's the thought, that's the spirit.
Can I just clarify something I thought you said? Are you saying that on the first offense, and I'm thinking of when I got pulled over last summer because I turned my boat the wrong way,
Oh, yeah.
timber fell off? You gotta remind me, Jeff, which way I'm supposed to turn. I didn't turn the right way. Tom came over and said, "Hey, are you saying I'm gonna get something in writing?" No.
Not verbal.
Okay.
It would be a verbal warning, but it's
Yeah.
still gonna be documented.
No, yeah.
In their system.
No, not gonna hand something, okay.
But that's gonna be up to the discretion of that.
Unless it's egregious.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
understood.
That's what we said.
If you lose a tuber and you made it to the other side of the lake without going back to cover the tuber,
Yeah.
that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Well,
Okay, thank
But
you.
if it was egregious, we call that need. There has to be a warning. If it was nice, it's the educational verbal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Henry?
As you described it, in the strike two area where there might be a fine, but you're not sure because it's going to be referred to Jake or whatever. From a due process notice point of view, when that second strike is handed to the people as a warning to say, you know, this is your second time, so this one is going up to Jake, or you may not want to mention names, but going up the chain
Sure.
for review, and you may hurt you further, and there may be a fine. So that they're just aware of that, because if they think they got a warning and then they get a letter from Mark and mail and say, you know, it's $50 or $100 or whatever, they're going to say, hey, no fair. I was told.
How do you handle that, Jeff? Would you handle it that in that?
It's the documented warning aspect of it is we're now documenting this. We see that we've already addressed this as an educational approach. Now we're documenting this incident. It's gonna go to Jake. Under a minor offense or a non-egregious one, I don't see it going much further. But it's the second time that, you know, somebody's out after hours and it was the next night after, okay, after they've already been stopped, they've already been discussed twice, educational, then the warning, then the third one's obviously going to be forwarded off the mark. And Mark could still turn around and say, we're not going to assign a fine at this point, but, you know, any subsequent, he can give a notice out to that person and say, look, you're on notice now. Your next violation could be fine. Okay, you know, there's a couple different ways to handle it.
Yeah, and I don't, that's all perfect, but I do think that once it's at that stage, they got to understand that there could be further consequences.
Sure.
You know, it's going to be reviewed, and there could be, you know, further consequences in the form of a penalty. I can't say whether there will be or not, so somebody else, but just be aware.
Should this be published publicly
Well,
as to how,
Well, we can definitely
or
talk with Brian and get it out to all the marine patrol officers this year to take that approach.
yeah,
Okay, you know, instead of just stopping the boat, pass on words.
Right.
You know, we need to be.
here's the next step.
Across.
Right.
Okay.
Frank.
This is our first stop, and hopefully we're able to get that iPad that we had discussed during.
Oh, you have it.
Oh, okay,
I'm
so,
donating.
so we can turn around and keep track of things on all hands. So we can see
who's got the
right,
person?
because the same person's not going to be working.
Yeah. So the easy way to do it is just to have a little
simple statement or a sentence or two at the bottom of the warning.
I've never seen the warning form. We should
So
look, can that be updated?
with those warnings, we are talking about possibility of officers looking at potential emails. We're not sure yet. Okay, but that would be the opportunity where that marine patrol officer would write a narrative to outline what the circumstances were. That would go with that warning to Jacob and then to, yeah.
But you're handing something to the boat operator on the water. Yeah, well, that thing you hand them, you have just a little statement that since this is your second warning, it is being further reviewed and there may be further consequences or something like that. Takes off having to have an oral conversation about it because they can read it later, you know?
That's actually a good idea.
I'll ask.
Put two check boxes, okay? This
Yeah.
is just the first contact, and this is second subsequent contact.
I was gonna say, I'll ask Brian to send me a copy of the warnings and maybe we can update that. Okay. Makes sense, Henry. Thank you.
Calendar and stage. Well, Mark, please.
Yeah. So Jeff, the last time you had, I think, Marine Patrol had two phones, basically, for, recording the events and everything else.
Communication with the public.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but did they even communicate with each other, those phones?
So those phones do not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
So, and one phone was the ramp phone, the other phone was the boat phone. So the ramp phone would have all the registrations and inspections and stuff like that. The thought process here that we were discussing during the meeting this afternoon was to get an iPad, so those phones can communicate to the iPad, and now all that information is in one place.
Yeah. Because
And then it can be organized in such a way that you can search the data quickly to be able to locate key information.
Right, because if you're going to have this progressive finding or whatever, warnings, you're gonna have to know.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Was he stopped?
that's why we're gonna get a centralized piece of electronics that's going to have that spreadsheet, that data in a couple different folders, this is our enforcement, this is our daily logs, this is, registrations, this is, whatever have you. And with that, it's gonna be photos of when you do inspection. So we can upload all that stuff to the iPad.
Oh,
and then just have email access.
Just hit record and record
And
and then turn it off.
Jake and whoever else. Okay, so that, we're trying to streamline the communication process, so that the information flows up and down smoothly,
It's not cool.
and that stuff.
Well, just tell me what happened.
We could consider putting our ripples together, kind of outlining principles of your approach, Jeff. Get that out to people so they have some.
Is that a first assessment bond? Yes. We discussed today. Yeah.
Plan, how Marine Patrol is going to approach this. And just if sorry, I just have one very quick question, but there might not be a quick answer. Something happens after hours when the Marine Patrol is not on the lake. Is there a protocol for who we should contact?
So,
Like your example of after hours boats, we see that.
So this is kind of interesting because we did discuss this briefly, and Marine Patrol over the last couple of years, we get a lot of anonymous calls. We get a lot of calls, and we have people that don't want to give our names and saying XYZ problem, and it's and go out and take care of it. And it's okay. Our whole system, based on this ordinance and enforcement with fines, is based off of our judicial system in the sense that it's a complaint-based system. You need a complaint. If Marine Patrol's not there to be the complainant and the representative for a town, and an after-hours incident occurs and a resident sees something, take a picture as best you can, time, date, stamp it, email it to Jake. We will look into it. Okay, we'll go over, try and talk to the person, try and get some information to be able to put together like an investigation. It's going to be incumbent on the residents that are going to be willing to give their name to say, on this date and time, I saw.
Can't be anonymous.
Just because that's the way our overall system in our society here, in our community, in our state, in our country is based on. Okay, you have the right to confront your accuser, And if it gets to a point where you're looking for a judicial due process, that would be for selectmen. Mark would assess the fine, they would contest it, they would bring it to the board of selectmen to the case. It would be up to the board of selectmen to uphold fine or say, no, we're gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. There's a due process, but you still have to be able to have somebody go on record and say, I saw it.
Sure. Thank you, that's helpful.
I don't think it goes to the board of selectmen, I think it goes to the town's hearing office.
Which would be Mark and Steve.
Well,
Well, we have
it's Paul Ramsey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
Well,
but the whole
Yeah.
process that you described, Jeff, is perfect because you need that backup. If somebody's gonna come in and challenge, they're gonna try to make it look like, it's a bunch of bozos that are passing this stuff out as opposed to an organized, methodical approach. And so it's wonderful that we're doing.
and we are going to talk with the current nine staff members and make sure that their incident reporting is correct in the current standards and industry standards for a public service. Okay, it's not going to be creative, it's going to be the facts, and it's going to be chronological, and it's going to be readable. Okay, we aren't going to want to see these great big words that somebody's going to pull out of the source. Keep it simple. Okay, apply the KISS Act.
I can't thank everybody at the 3:30 meetings today, but Bob, who brought a great historical perspective and knows and has been there, and Jeff and Brian Ald for all that they did in this particular meeting. I will write up some notes, have it reviewed by Mark and Brian and you gentlemen, as well as Jake and Chris. And let's move forward. But I like the thought of the communication. I did make one comment. There was a comment made when Jim is not here that, $250, $250. It's up to $250. And when we had a $50 fine imposed in 1990, $50 in 1990 today is $222. So I think we're in the fair range. And Jeff, you made a comment. Most of the penalties you see are in that 250 now.
So toward the end of my career, the majority of the municipalities around the state have their own ordinance. So the city of Hartford, the County Executive, the County West Hartford, Clinton, and St. Louis, they all have their own ordinances. And for the most part, they've pretty much been consistent across the state that they will have ordinance violations up to about 250. Okay, it's not saying that's the automatic fine.
Right.
They can establish their own schedule based on, okay, it's a parking ticket, it's $50. It's a rolling dog without a leash. That's going to be $75. Okay, that's why I made the recommendation that we mirror if there's a violation on the lake for a boating law, we mirror that fine that the state of Connecticut already has on the books.
Right.
So, for example, you want a stop sign, that's going to be $136. That's from the state police. If you have an issue on the water and that particular fine is $136, that would be the top fine. Okay.
We have our audience of citizens who has one quick question. We're going to table this parking lot this soon, but Sally, go. Oh, 2 quick questions.
Are all of these infractions expunged come December?
I
just know we got you. Record because the gentleman who went through the DM was 50. I'm be sure.
Thank you, Sally. Question number 2.
I'm a little curious, maybe I misheard, but I never thought I could hire someone as a property owner on the lake. Yes, hire somebody to do your wall. That's technically at the border, may or may not be, depending where your pins are. You hire somebody to work on your dock. I can't legally hire someone to trim the trees in my front yard because they're on state property. Now I do it, but I cannot legally do that. I'm curious what you're talking about, that you could hire someone for something that's in the lake, because hiring means liability. You don't have any ownership there. I'm just curious.
Well, we discussed today that the town owns the lake bed.
You mean as far as marine patrol or as far as?
If I'm going to, as a property owner, pay you to be in the water in front of my property, I did exactly
Oh,
agree.
you're talking about weed control.
Yeah.
Okay. Henry, would you like to weigh in on that? Because there was some discussion.
Probably should have council officially rely on. And I would agree that it's probably outside of the homeowner's policy because it's not on your property, but there are some parts of liability in the homeowner's policy that cover you off premises. And here you have a town, permit.
Authorized.
So you are being permitted to go on the lake bed, but it may be the council recommends that we put into the permit that if you hire anybody, the town, make it clear because it's sovereign immunity and whatever, but make it clear that the town takes no responsibility. And, but it also means that it makes it a little difficult for volunteers, because if you hire a crew contractor, they probably got workers' comp coverage for what they're doing. But if we get, a good Samaritan doing it, then,
Just need kind of a waiver.
there is,
Whole harmless agreement.
yeah.
It'd kind of be the same thing as building a dock though, build a dock on the lake bed.
Well, it's attached to your property. At least it's attached to your property. I
Yeah.
think I'm insured for that, but I don't know.
So I'll check in with Savannah, because she's rewriting this as we speak, in terms of if we had volunteers.
Well, ask Rich Roberts to.
Well, I'll have her check with Rich Roberts.
Litigators,
Yeah.
Just talk to her tomorrow.
Hmm?
Want me to do that?
Could you do that, please?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can do that because I'm going to talk to her about.
okay. Yeah, you're doing it anyways. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I will let you know.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, thank you. Good question. We'll get that answer. I've tabled 3 months in a row our priorities, but I think we are working real well on our priorities, and maybe we'll have a meeting where we can just work on our priorities and go back to the lake in June or July or August. So I'm going to table that unless there's an issue and move to permit reviews. Mike, I know you have 2. And why don't we get right to Brendan? And thank you for your patience, Brendan.
So we received a permit application from Eric and Tracy Sodergren on 166 Route 87. I have a motion that for this permit, it is to put in a jet ski, a jet ski lift. So and the permit is to put in the jet ski lift before the 2026 boating season. So it would be now. So I have a motion that I'm going to read and then we can discuss after that. So I move that LMAC advise the Board of Selectmen to reject the permit application from Eric and Tracy Sodergren dated 4/20/2026 to install a new 5-foot by 14-foot floating jet ski lift. The Sodergrens proposed 2 options to install the lift. Their preferred option A is to plant supporting posts into the lake bed, abutting but not connecting to their existing dock. Option A is common with other lifts that have been installed in Columbia Lake. Option B is to mount the lift perpendicular to the dock from the front of the lift to the side of the dock with hinged connectors. This would be a temporary installation until the 2026 drawdown, when they would reinstall using option A. So option A, though a common installation method, we are in the no construction season. Option B, this method of installation is also in the no construction season, and the installation instruction specifies this to be installed on the floating dock. And Sodergren's dock is not floating dock. Furthermore, attaching the lift to their stationary dock increases the size of their already 8-foot by 24-foot non-conforming dock, which is already well over the 100 square foot allowed in the guidelines. The Sodergrens can reapply for the installation using their preferred option A in the approved construction season after the 2026 drawdown. At such time, LMAC will conduct a site visit to assess it if the lift placement meets all the standard guideline requirements. That's it.
Motion on the table. Second?
Second.
Can I add something here?
Thank you, Bob.
Do they have an option of
Discussion?
using a different method, or are we just specific to the permit?
Well, just specific to the permit.
Can you describe B as B of floating, lift that's attached to the dock? Is that?
Yes, that's a floating lift with the attached
To the dock.
And it's a grandfathered dock. How much of their waterfront is taken up by it? Do you have was there a map submitted with it?
There was.
And are there safety issues with neighbors or boundary? How close would things be to other property owners and so forth?
Henry,
So
Michael
the
and I
proposed
discussed.
dock is
Uh,
pretty close to the
All
center
right,
of the
let's hear from
property.
Brendan first. Brendan, can I turn this up? Can we turn him up? Go ahead.
All right, I'll try to talk louder. So the proposed, I think there's a map that Mike should have. The proposed lift is on the side furthest from the neighbor, so it's basically ends up being centered in the extended property line. Can you hear me any better now?
I'm sorry.
Can we start again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the proposed location is on the interior side of the dock, so it's furthest from the abutting property lines. It basically ends up being centered in the extended property lines. There should be a map that was included with the application. Mike, I don't know if you have that accessible. We notified both of our neighbors and neither of them had any concerns. Our dock is, on one side of our property, so obviously on the side closest to the neighbor, that would have been a bad spot to put it. So we have it on the other side, and it works out to be basically in the center.
There are potential.
If I recall, don't the extended property lines on this property go this way as you go out to the lake?
They do.
Or will this new lift be, how close would it be to the extended property line?
So
Yeah, I think there's a picture that Mike had to probably help you out the best. It's still within the property lines extended.
I have a picture of the dock, the lift attached with the posts, so it would be side by side to your dock.
Yep.
We don't have the.
We don't have a picture of it the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I could get you that. It would still be within the extended
There's no
property
picture
line.
perpendicular.
No,
Is the lift going on the outside?
Correct, yeah.
Towards the,
there's the
Say that
lift.
again.
The dock.
Oh, okay, you're talking about me.
So you would just turn the left 90 degrees.
Yes. To attach it to the dock, they turn it 90 degrees.
Side.
And
Extended property.
right.
What's this line?
What's your requirement? Is it 64 feet?
The motion though is for the off season. I mean, we're in the non-construction season.
Let's have one conversation. I think Mike is saying the primary reason here is this request is being asked to be done during the no construction season. And therefore, he's made a motion to reject it based on that.
Yeah, so my comment there is the reason that we did it this way is because the contractors installing it, they don't do it in the winter. They said with the frost and the cold temperatures in the winter, they were unwilling to come out. So
Yeah,
they said they do all their installs in May. So
and sometimes you
why-
have to prove things during the season, the off season, usually when it's an emergency. I don't really see that here. And that's why I added to the, motion that you could permit it for the 2006 drawdown.
26.
And you own 2026. Yes.
Yeah,
and you
my
own-
concern there is the contractor is going to say the same thing. I mean, we wanted to do this at the same time we put our application for the dock in last fall, and we were willing to do it at that same time, but the contractor was they don't do installs at all in the winter.
We've had other jet ski docks installed over the winter.
No, and we've had
I mean,
one floating dock moved
Winter, he said.
when it was put in.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we have floating docks and,
This contract, other contractors too. So.
excuse me, Henry, and then I'll get back to.
Just have a question to Mike, is that I don't have it in front of me. Was the non-conforming issue reviewed, because this, in either way, is an expansion of non-conforming issue dock. I'm not sure that we would allow a boat shelter to be added to a already non-conforming dock because of the fact that it makes it a bigger non-conformance.
Well, that's the problem with attaching it to the side of the dock.
The hinge directly attaches it. We do have other jet. Well, Henry, you're making a good point. We have other jet ski lifts on the lake, but are they next to docks? Because is Bob Millard's? Can't remember.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so we do.
Yes.
So we have precedent for that. Okay.
And the other thing is, there's a limit on the number of things that you can have, a mooring, a boat lift, and so forth. And a lot of it depends on footage, whether they have enough footage for two docks.
No.
But this house also has a raft in the morning.
They do have a mooring?
Yeah,
You have
we're
a
allowed to
mooring?
have all three though, correct? Yeah.
Yes, a raft in the morning.
Yeah.
You have a,
I mean,
Raft in the morning.
you have a raft?
Yes.
yeah.
So that would be 4.
Yeah. So
Then we'll remove the mooring.
if nothing else, the permit needs to be, probably clarified, because the boundary line, I'm not sure is showing there, clearly, and, we need to review it against all of the requirements of regulations, further, in addition to the, fact that it's off season. So, I think we can
Table?
this table, because, for me, I would say if there were a regulation dock and it wasn't going to interfere with the neighbor, allowing them to attach a floating lift to the side of it on a temporary basis for one season to get around the fact that we're doing it not during the construction season would be plausible.
It might be plausible, but I will tell you, we have precedent where we did not allow that.
Okay.
Right? We have 2 other properties on the lake where someone put something in over the lake and it impeded the right of way and they had to take it away. They did it non-construction. And we had a floating dock put in during non-construction, and it was, Mark will tell you, it was taken out. And we worked with them to put the dock in appropriately at the appropriate time, having the same pull system. They did it during the winter. So I have both permits back here, but I don't have the names. So I think we have to be careful to say something's plausible when we've already told 2 other people.
On basis of that, I don't think we necessarily need the table, but when it comes back up in the fall, it has to be viewed under that, and it may well be nixed by the fact that they've already got.
You're absolutely right on what they may already have. I believe they have 64 feet of frontage, so I think we have to look at that. Is there any impediment there? I had a real concern that if you put it perpendicular, the way you would come into a dock, perpendicular to your dock, would be that you're now with 64 feet of frontage having a safety issue and a potential swim area.
Yes.
So I just think that there were some ancillary things that Mike and I talked about, but the bottom line is this is the no construction season. And it's a convenience, nice request, but it's not a need request. I think, Brendan, you've had jet skis for a long time and you've docked them moored them next to your dock.
Yes, we have. Yep.
Okay. So
Our reason for wanting it this year is we have a new one that we're trying to keep out of the water. Past years we've had people come by and pull drain plugs out, and our jet ski ends up, half underwater when we wake up. So
thank you. Yeah. So if there's no further discussion, call the vote. Okay, based on Mike's motion. Did we get a second?
Just to clarify, if we're voting for, we're voting to deny the
permit if you're voting against it. Okay, all those in favor of denying the motion?
Application.
Application, excuse me, application. Opposed? Opposed? No. Okay, so we have unanimous. Brendan, I think the good news is that we do want you to come back. We do want you to reapply appropriately. And then a site visit will be conducted for all the other issues that have been brought up. So we thank you.
all right. So before we end, can we address some of that? I don't want to have the same thing and have it get tabled in the fall. So what can we talk about some of the issues? I think if we're talking about having too many items, the mooring will go away. So we'll take care of that. That's not a problem. The mooring hasn't been in the water now for maybe 2 years since somebody cut the line on it. So what can we address some of the others? I don't know if they're really, I want to get ahead of it. So
separate discussion with Mike, myself, and you, so that we can outline to you what the guidelines are, and I'll send you a copy of the guidelines. But it looks like you have them, so you can make the appropriate.
Yeah, I have them. Yeah.
There's no reason the application can't come in next month for.
Right, we can do the site visit.
So we could put an application in and the site visit could take place. All of this could be cleared up in short period of time. It doesn't have to wait until September or October to be worked out.
So Brendan, the sooner the better to just reapply.
Can we just assume the same application?
Recommendation to the board. If the board accepts it, then you can reapply.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Good. One other, but I'm going to suggest we table it because we have a site visit.
Yeah.
Okay. The other is building a seawall, so we're plenty of time until the fall. At Bernays 206, Route 87, and the site visit with wetlands is May 19th. Didn't see that? It came out from Jennifer?
Yeah.
Yeah, she sent it. 206, Route 87. And we discussed it on wetlands Monday, and we're going to do a joint site visit. Jim Santos is going to be here, and we'll keep you in the loop because you're away. Yeah.
Did you talk about armoring and what you've been reading about that?
No, if you want to make a brief comment, kind of the horse is out of the barn unless we start reconsidering when people reconstruct walls.
Well, I think we should. So this idea that the term of art is armoring walls, which I understand is recent mortared walls that are not letting the waves go through. And we're, for every property on our lake that gets a seawall rebuilt, we're, as Ann Dunnick said so eloquently some years ago at a CLA annual meeting, turning the lake into a giant swimming pool. And we've had such waves already. Several years ago, we had a big storm and somebody's boat sank.
My pictures.
And we're going to see more and more of that as we continue to take away what little natural shoreline we still have. The bulk of it now, I think, is over at the camp. And there's a little bit on Wiggins property, and they just tore that house down and they're putting a new home there. I don't know what their plans are.
So far, nothing.
Lakefront.
That's what he told me.
Yeah, I'm sure that's coming.
Yep.
And now, Stacy and Brent are redoing their wall and, I mean, we're all guilty of it.
Do we have to look, as a priority, do we have to look at the guidelines
There you go.
based on,
Thank you, Sally.
Sally, I'm sorry, what did you say?
She's not. You have some natural shoreline. Quite a few feet of it, actually.
Well, let's consider it as a potential priority. Do we have to update the guidelines? Because armoring walls creates lots of issues in terms of you think you're preventing erosion when you're actually perhaps creating erosion. So
Did you tell me the state of Maine?
the state of Maine banned it.
And
Yeah. And Bob Davies told me that when we approved his wall. He said, I can't get a wall like this.
but it might be the kind of.
The riprap.
You can riprap, you,
Is definitely the best, and you can ask TRC on that, but we don't want just, open freestanding stone walls because they will suck the dirt out from the back of them too. I mean, the ideal system is what we don't have anymore, which is tree and bush roots, in back of, riprap and stone, so that they make a biological barrier, that holds the soil, back and locks everything in.
well, this requires a lot of investigation. There are pros and cons. Right.
Just had one question. I know we're at time.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay, so the next month till the next meeting,
Yeah.
the lake hopefully will fill up and there's gonna be activity at the gate. Where did we land on the gate, access? The key system, is that working?
The fob system still will be in place, but it is not in place now. No one's allowed on the,
So there's no more key.
there's no more key. It's a key fob system. And you have to apply for that if you didn't get it. I think I still.
No, I don't need it. I was just curious if people
Yeah.
will ask.
So far, no one's on the lake because we can't launch. The launch pad isn't.
So the thing is, they do the pop, then you're pictured so that middle of the night traffic is monitored and you know it.
Exactly. That's where we're at. I know. We're right on time, Muffy. Muffy, do you have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Come again. Wait, hold on. I gotta stop.